it a good thing.
But you will also find so many litigations, so many complaints.
Yeah, that is true. But then, if there is a genuine litigation, if there is a genuine question in somebody's mind, we must allow that, isn't it? By litigation, you mean irrational litigation or unjustified
Any
question,
litigation.
any litigation. So, so wherever there is a person who has any irrational demand, the limitations of the limitations put by the RTI Act are also there. No, there are only certain things that you can demand and get under RTI. What is the Right to Information Act? The word information is very, very important. Some information which already exists, the citizen have a right to that information.
Okay.
Okay. Therefore, under Right to Information Act, this question becomes irrelevant as to why there is no policy on this, right? So, that question cannot be asked under RTI Act. There are other forums for asking that question, but not the forum of RTI. RTI forum is available for the purpose of giving the information which is there in the files, and which under the earlier act, under the British regime, there was an act called the Official Secrets Act. So, therefore, a lot of information which affects me directly, either as an official or as a citizen, but the government office, which has that information, could always tell me that no, I will not give you this information because we don't consider it necessary to give this information, and we have the authority under the Official Secrets Act.
Madam, you took oath of transparency. Well, all the ministers usually take.
Please read the oath very carefully. I took the oath to abide by the Constitution.
And transparency,
And
not secrecy.
yeah, not secrecy.
So, do you also feel that all those ministers who have taken oath of secrecy should be sworn in again, then they should be asked to take oath of transparency and not secrecy?
See, the ministers or the parliamentarians or the assembly, the MLAs, they are governed by their own act. They are required to take oath under their own prescribed act and procedure. So, whatever is the oath that they are required to take, they will take under that particular act.
But we are moving from secrecy to transparency.
I am required to take oath under RTI Act. So, and RTI Act prescribes what kind of oath it will be. So, it is applicable to me. I cannot insist that the same oath should be applicable to other people, although I may feel that it is very desirable.
The personal opinion that this should go for oath of transparency and not secrecy. Secrecy to certain extent, majority transparency.
No, if you carefully read what is their oath, I think they have a certain point. What they are saying, that they will not divulge any information which they have received by way of that particular office. Now, the oath stops here. The oath stops here. But what is the implication? What is the connotation? What is the philosophy behind that oath? The philosophy behind that oath is that if he divulges that information, then in some way or other there is a threat and danger to the sovereignty of the country. There is a threat and danger to the smooth working of the government. There is a death and danger to the harmony in the society. Therefore, certain things have to be maintained secret, isn't it? So, the oath of secrecy is a very, very relevant oath, because then they are bound not to disclose that information, and that oath has been prescribed to secure certain things, to stop the danger to certain things, right? Now, under the RTI Act also, you will find that there are certain things which are excluded from the purview of the RTI Act. Why? For example, if you wanted to ask a question to the Defense Ministry, what is your strength on this border? That information, can you say that I am entitled to get this information under RTI? No, because it is that information, if it becomes public, if it gets known by the neighboring countries, if it gets known by the enemy countries, it becomes a threat to the national sovereignty and national existence. So there are so many areas which are carved out even under the RTI Act, that information on those things will not be available.
One more issue which has been featuring in Goa is that misuse of RTI by some of the people.
See, I was asked this question earlier also. Whenever a new act comes, and whenever the new act has not yet settled down fully, there is always a lot of apprehension, and perhaps to some extent true also, that people are trying to misuse it. That's always an apprehension. In my opinion, if handled correctly, that apprehension should go in times to come. And as I said, there is always a difference between the chaff and the grain. You have to segregate the two things. Gradually the misuse will be prevented. Gradually the misuse, there is no need to, I am giving you one small example. Suppose you go to a new place, you find it's very dirty, you need to clean it. You take a sweep, you start sweeping it, there will be lot of dust which will be thrown up. Should you be scared of that?
So basically this is new act, that's why.
This is a new act, it is creating its own space, it is creating its own grounds, and it is creating its own rules, and it is creating all this for the good of the society.
But misuse is one of the concerns.
So misuse is one of those things that, as I said, some dust will rise.
But will you read through your whenever you get an application, will you read through them whether this is trying to misuse RTI or is not trying to misuse RTI?
What does it mean? What do you mean by read through? Can you give some concrete example? Have you come across some example where you feel that somebody is misusing the RTI?
There has been this discussion even on the floor of the House wherein CM has said that some people are misusing RTI. So now everything settles to you, how to stop it, whether to stop it or whether to allow it, because you have to take care of RTI also and you have to also take care that it's not misused.
See, if there is if the word misuse itself suggests what I am supposed to do or what I should do. If there is a misuse, it will have to be stopped, isn't it? If there is a good use, it will have to be encouraged. But every use of RTI is not either a misuse or a good use per se, isn't it? So some kind of a differentiation, some kind of a categorization will have to be made, and I would be much more careful or much more, I would say, reluctant to put any question as a misuse of RTI, okay? Because in my opinion, even that question has a personality. Let it be seen, how much can you allow such a question? To that extent, allowing the questions and allowing transparency is always good.
Okay.
Too much of transparency may not be good. So somewhere you have to put a cap on it.
Okay, we are running short of time. Last question. What is your opinion about protection to RTI activists? One side is misuse or whatever. There are some genuine RTI activists who may be attacked, who may be. There has been cases wherein there
have been incidences where the RTI activists have come under threat, and they have been actually physically assaulted, even murdered sometimes. See, these are the indications of the criminality in the society, right? A criminal who is doing something wrong will always try to protect himself, and the wrongs that he is doing. So therefore, and the person with that kind of a criminal mind or intention or potential has to be stopped by the normal rule of the normal sort of rule and regulation of the
This
country.
Whistleblowers
Under the,
Protection Act has to be there. Some RTI activist
it's
usually is like a
it's it's
whistleblower.
still it's still it has to come still. So it has not yet come, but that will be one good protection available, but that may not be sufficient protection also. Therefore, it will have to be seen. But basically, if the RTI in a way will also help to reduce the total criminality in the country. That is my
But protection has also to
this.
be there for those people who are trying to exploit.
Yeah, there has to be, if they demand, but they will have to definitely tell what kind of threat. You see, any and every person cannot go and say, look, I feel threatened, therefore give me protection, isn't it? Because if that becomes a duty of the state, to give one police person per person, then it is a never ending thing.
Okay,
So there
so
is a general protection available under the general rules and the
under IPC, whatever protection is
general law and
available.
order situation in the country. I don't think it is so bad that every person has to have protection.
This was Madam Leena Mahendra, CIC of Goa. She says it is too early to set the target to clear the pendency cases, but she is trying to clear them off as fast as possible by giving them proper judgment and proper legal view. Another thing is that as far as this multi-member body is concerned, she says that she has to get into the detailed exact judgment of the High Court to know whether the CIC can function on its own without SICs, or there has to be one SIC, and if there has to be SIC, then she will have to wait for a little more time till SIC is appointed. And one more important thing she had said is that she would like to pass judgments in Marathi and Konkani so that these regional languages can also get some boost and encouragement in the judiciary. Thank you, madam, for joining us on the show. You're watching Counterpoint, your own interview series on your own channel Prudent, that comes on Monday at 7:30, 9:30 and 11:30 p.m. Keep watching Prudent.